Welcome, friends. As always, I say know yourself, treasure life, and love others. So tonight, I am putting on the table something that's a gigantic topic, but it's very personal and very approachable. And some of us haven't been trained in this, don't know people who do it very well, and a lot of us know that there's something there. So I call it after work, after school. What do I do with my family? What do I do with myself, with my spouse, with my family? So I think about it as daily, each one of us has a mental budget. We all have 24 hours, and it's up to us, in a large part, how we spend it, so to speak, how we spend our time. Now, we can get ourselves into positions where we feel like we don't have any choice, we don't have control, and we're not happy with it, which means, okay, time to figure out how to shift in a direction that suits us. So I know you guys remember this. I've got lots of cool stuff to share with you this today. And if you ever have a question, just type it and I'll talk to it. Okay, so this is my basic building blocks of a healthy lifestyle. And I'm sure if you've tuned in before, you've seen it before. It took me a long time to construct this diagram or model. And so if it's a good one, things should fit into it. So far, I'm doing pretty good. So along the left-hand side here, we've got the 7 basic internal aspects that all human beings need to develop, or it would be good for us to develop. So at the bottom, our safety and security, so that we've got a decent life. Second, relationships, bondedness, friendships. Second, a positive sense of self, where I know I'm a good person. Emotional intelligence, which means I have an empathetic, caring heart. Personal power, which is my executive function. That means that I know how to not be too loose or too tight. My intelligence, I've had education and schooling, so I have some knowledge. And the last one, the 7th one, my honesty, my ability to have integrity, and therefore a peaceful soul inside. So we're looking at how do you spend your mental budget. And of course, I'm looking at this model and saying all of these things are important and which ones are next for each one of us. And so this is one of my testers. It's a test. This is the 9 lifestyle habits, which were the results of research by National Geographic. Some of you may know about this. It was the study of where on the planet Earth, and I'll show you down here, there's a map of the blue zones. The blue zones are the places on the planet Earth where people live the healthiest, happiest, longest lives. And so if I'm asking us, what do we do after work and after school? We have some time for ourselves. And if I bring this up and show this to you, it's one of the ways that I help us think it through so that we've got 24 hours in the day. Notice I divided it into 3 big chunks. And the one that's that we can't avoid is we've got to get sleep and rest. Otherwise, our bodies won't function, and then we aren't very effective at being able to do what we want to do in life. So, number 1, sleep and rest. Then we've got the 2 other chunks. One is your work, your job, your mission, the thing in life. My phone just alerted me. Okay. So our mission, our works, our tasks, our responsibilities, so to speak. Maybe that you have a job. Maybe you're a full-time mom or dad to kids, which is more than full-time really. Maybe you do fundraising, but we all have something that is a sense of mission in the world. And in the American view, one of the things that I'm very cautious about is workaholism. And there are many, many reasons for that. And tonight is not the time for me to go into talking about why, but a lot of us are sensitive now that we can't just work and sleep, that it's not healthy for us. And it's not healthy to do more than a 40-hour work week. And you know, some of us say, there's a wonderful book on the 12-hour work week. And then there are other countries which are organized in different ways in terms of how they spend their time, how their culture is sculpted, so that 40 hours a week is more than they want to do or think is healthy to do. So that leaves us about 1/3 of our day, which is what I call discretionary. Discretionary, like a discretionary financial budget, like we have discretionary income that we can decide how we want to spend it. Sometimes that discretionary dollar amount isn't very big at certain times of our life, but we all have 24 hours a day. And so then I remember years ago where I put myself to the task of making a list of the things that I love to do, the things that are fun to do, the things that are not work to do. And I was pretty nonplussed when I realized I couldn't even make a list of 10 things. So I grew up on a farm, which means the work never stops and there are always more responsibilities, and sometimes the lives of animals depend on you. And I think about a dairy farm. Those cows are dependent on their owners 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So some of us are not very experienced at having a discretionary mental budget every day. And then, of course, we think about the discretionary time, which is our personal time, our family time. And then what do we do with that time? So that's why I put that question on the table today. After work, your discretionary time, how do you spend it? After school, after your kids come home from school, how do they spend their time? How do you spend your time together as a family? And usually what I encounter is we don't have plans unless it's the kids' sports games, or if one of your children is in Boy Scouts or Girl Guides, there's a meeting night that you go to, or sometimes it has to do with your religious community. So we do have some of those things in place. And I bring this up tonight and on this talk to just give you a little reminder that we do have so much freedom, and that I want us to have the best, the highest quality for those minutes and hours that belong to us, that we can design them. So, and if you have a question, please don't hesitate to type it to me and to chime in. So, when we look at a healthy lifestyle, the Blue Zones showed that the happiest, healthiest people on the planet Earth have these 9 lifestyle habits in common. And so the first one, the very first one, is move naturally. Like, we need to sleep, but we also need to keep our bodies in motion so that they continue to keep functioning, so that we have health and strength. So move naturally, and usually that means walking. And walking can be done most places in the world pretty well if we're living in a decent place. I know where I live in Texas, during the day in the summertime, it's just too hot to walk outside. And then people walk in malls, or they wait until after the sun goes down some. Or like I do, I try to get in the swimming pool every day and move around there, which is just wonderful in the Texas heat. So we want to move naturally every day. That doesn't mean boxing. It doesn't mean extreme things. It means using the body, keeping it moving, keeping it strong in whatever way suits you. And so you want to know that. My way is in the swimming pool, in water aerobics, or dancing. I love dancing, and thank goodness I'm married to a man who knows how to dance. So we want you, number one, to think about, how do I fit into my day natural movement? Recently, a couple came to see me, and they've been through transition process, new jobs, things in their life that have demanded a lot of them. And so I said, well, when you come home from work, what do you do? And both of them said that they were tired, and that they would usually eat and maybe watch some TV, play video games, whatever. And so then, because I know people, I observed, I said, then you guys are not working out, right? And they said, no, we got out of the habit when all these changes happened. Well, if you don't move naturally, when you come home from work, you're tired. And you guys know this. If you go and exercise either in the morning or after work, you get a new shot of energy because your body is now alive and moving. So if you find you're getting too tired at night and feel too tired, too lethargic to use that discretionary time available to you, number one, look at your physical activity. So then let's look at these other 9 things, and I have several things to share with you tonight. The second layer, the green layer, is having a sense of purpose every day, which means usually our work, our mission in life, something that we are responsible for, that we like to do. And then number 3, a downshift. A downshift, and it's got a picture of somebody doing yoga. And for some people it is yoga. For some people it's walking. For some people it's meditating. For some people it's going outside and digging in the dirt or playing with your flowers in the garden. For some people it's taking the dog for a walk. Just something that kind of is not stressful, doesn't demand your creativity, and just kind of lets you rest yourself. Then the blue level is food and nutrition. And it's recommended that from the 9 habits of the blue zones, we eat 80% of what we want to keep ourselves slender, because the slimmer we are, the more easily our bodies can function. Have a plant slant, which means lots of vegetables. I don't recommend fruits because they're too sugary unless they're berries. And a glass of red wine at 5 because of the antioxidants or resveratrol in red wine. Some people, wine or alcohol is really not good for them. And some people, it's a real grace. So that's up to you. And then, of course, the foundation of the 9 healthy lifestyle habits are people. As I say, love others. So number 1, put your loved ones first. Then belong to an organization of people where they are working together for a cause that they believe in. Now, a lot of people find this in their spiritual pursuits or their religion. Sometimes it's a nonprofit or a volunteer activity, or sometimes it's Boy Scouts or Girl Guides. Sometimes it's the PTA. But find a place where you're in a social world where you're of like mind. And then the last one is hang out or be friends with or spend time with the right tribe, which means close friends, 3 to 5 friends. Sometimes if you're married, it's 1 or 2 other couples or more than that. But that those are the most important things if we're going to say, how do I spend my mental budget? These are the 9 top things to take into consideration. Now, when I said after school, what do I do and what do I do with my family? We know that the most important way our young ones learn is by watching us and experience us live our lives as adults, as grown-ups. So, and this handout I've created from the Blue Zones, there's a wonderful TED Talk, and this handout is just an introduction, a quick introduction. There's also down here, you see a free vitality compass that you can go and take the assessment, and a free happiness test. So I'll just remind you of that. And this is the Blue Zones website. Isn't that beautiful? So then there are 2 TED Talks there. This is more about those 9 lifestyle habits. This is the free life expectancy test, the Blue Zone Solutions, and a book called Thrive that helps communities live to the 9 habits. And here you can get the Blue Zones newsletter. So I recommend that very strongly. I respect the work that the National Geographic has done and the people who continue that work. There are some small cities where the whole city is devoted to living those 9 lifestyle habits. Okay, then I'm going to just whip through some other things, because as adults, as I said, we want to show our kids by how we live what a good life looks like. One of the words that I don't like is, well, I told them, I told her, I said. Well, words do teach, but if all we use is words, then, sometimes that's kind of hot air, or it feels like somebody's telling us what to do. And so my favorite part of learning about how to do the potentials for us and for our kids is from the 40 developmental assets of the Search Institute. They studied, and let's see, I'll show you. This is the original book, What Kids Need to Succeed. This was 1994. This is the 2012 version. And if you have one parenting book and that's all that you're going to get, this is like the recipe book. It gives you recipes for how exactly. This is asset number 14. So it tells you exactly things you can do. Like how do you spend your mental budget? How do you spend your time after school? These are methods, to-dos for parents and kids and families. And so tonight I selected the stuff for teenagers, because they, of course, need the most complex, highest quality experiences from us as parents and adults. So this is the checklist in the beginning of that book. That one's for students, and this one's for parents. So these are the 40 developmental assets for kids, 20 on this page external, and then on the second page, 20 internal. And notice I've typed this with the percentage next to it. The percentage is the results of the Search Institute's research that says the percentage of kids in our country who have this asset adequately in their life. So for external assets, they need 6 for support, 4 for empowerment, 6 for boundaries and expectations, 4 for constructive use of time. So 64% of our kids have this first asset, which is family support. Family life provides high levels of love and support. Now notice that it's only 2/3. 1/3 of our kids don't have it. And I mean, in our country, that seems way too much, but that's what we have. Then number 2, only 26%, about 1/4 of our teenagers have positive family communication at home. The young person with her or his parent or parents communicate positively, and the young person is willing to seek advice and counsel from parents. Only a quarter of our kids. That's radically wrong. And someone has asked me, Heather Carlisle for handout requests. Absolutely, dear. Go to Heather Carlisle, and my email address is right there. If you look at this right here, yes, Heather, I do have a question for you. Put it right in there. Put in your name, your phone, and your email, and I will email it right to you. Thank you so much for asking. I love that you're interested. So when I work with a family and they have teenagers, I will have the parent and the teenager fill out this and say, 0 to 10, how much do you think you have? And then the parents, each one of them, I have it to do this. How much, 0 to 10, do you think your child has in your family? So that we get a real reading on all of these things that are the core necessities for our kids to have. So this is from the Search Institute. And, if there's only one organization you know about, this is one of the best. There's also a page on my website which has about 10 links, just listed the links to the best parenting sources I know in the English-speaking world. You may know better ones than I do, but so far, those are the ones that that have come to the surface over the years of my work. So now look at this one. This is an organization that has implemented these 40 assets in their own way. Now follow my mouse here and look at, these are the external assets over here on the left, and then the internal assets. Notice I can click on any one of these and it comes up with a how-to and recommendations of what you can do right here online, free to anybody. So if I look at, we saw that only 25 quarter of our kids have positive family communication. So we click on that and up comes positive family communication. The importance of an open door. Here are the facts, tips for building the asset. Also try this in your home and family, in your neighborhood and community, in your school or youth program. So each one of the 40 assets on this website, they have very specific to-dos, how you can do this, not just know about it, but things that you can put into place for your kids and your family. This is family support, love and support, the family foundation, the facts, tips for building the asset, and also try this. So I wanted you to know about that. Then this is it in general, and I'll provide you that link. Here's another piece of the Search Institute's work. They call it Sparks. And they do this with parents and with teachers. Sparks are the activities and interests that truly engage kids to be their best. Research shows that kids who know and develop their sparks and who have adults in their lives to help have higher grades, better school attendance, and a sense of purpose. And we see this everywhere, that our kids need to be with us. And so this is Dr. Gordon Neufeld's website, and he's also associated with Dr. Gabor Mate, and their book is my favorite book in parenting. It's Hold On to Your Kids, They Need You More Than Peers. And this delineates very specifically how we end up losing our kids, for the kids to raise the kids rather than the kids to be bonded to us and our family system. So this is the Neufeld Institute organization, and they have courses that are stunning, and as you can see, they're in many languages, but you can sign up for the newsletter. So you see 2, 4, 6, 8 languages. You can sign up for the free newsletter, And you can also take courses that are not very expensive at your own pace. And these courses are for parents and for therapists and for teachers, educators. So look at this article, Parenting in a Digital Age, the United Nations Address for the Global Day of Parents. And right here, if there were one thing we need to remember most when raising children in a digital age, it would be to let nothing come between us. I can't emphasize the magnitude of that. So let nothing come between us. Parents and teachers also now compete with digital devices and a child's peers in order to get their attention. So this article is superlative. This is for teachers teaming up with parents. So this is From the Dungeon to the Desired, one school's incredible transformation from being, the kids saw it as a dungeon, to being a desired place where they wanted to go to school. So, and then this is the Parenting Passageway. This is the book I just showed you. Hold on to your kids, the last chapter. Why parents need to matter more than peers. The last chapter is Recreate the Attachment Village. That's a tall order. It's not something you can just go out and throw a switch and you'll get it. This is a fun thing that I found. It's Youth Challenging the World, YSA. And it's these kids, look at this, doing things for kindness. That's quality. Spending your mental budget and helping your kids spend their mental budget after school. This is not part of the school. This is part of what your family does for enrichment. Here's a wonderful article on Michael Gurian's book, Saving Our Sons, A New Path for Raising Healthy and Resilient Boys. What we're finding now is our girls used to be in trouble. Now our boys are in more trouble. Where is it? Here. If you look at the numbers, men make more than women. However, that's not the whole story. American boys and men commit suicide at 4 times the rate of girls and women. Boys also account for 2/3 of the D's and F's issued in school. Boys are also 4 times as likely to be suspended or expelled. Our boys are in trouble. So the Gurian Institute is the chief researcher on the distinction between the feminine and masculine brains. And it's thrilling what they're doing, and I wish that more people knew about it. Here's another fun thing, an after-school app, which after school brings fun and creative experiences to Americans' teens. So we don't want them getting on the TV or their screen time of some form or another. Here's a fun thing, Letterboxing North America, just a fun activity. So what we're really looking at now is how do we spend that discretionary budget? So of course I've looked up some, and I've got oodles of them that I've shared with people and taught people over the years. But I'm just going to whip through a little list that I found that was after work ideas, kind of just quick, getting you to think about not, I haven't watched the news probably much in my entire lifespan. I don't have time. The quality is inadequate for what I need for my mind. And I spent some screen time, mostly on my computer, some of it researching, and some of it on Facebook, because I like to share things with people. But I don't watch those people on Facebook that have horror stories or talk about negative things or talk negatively about politics or whatever it is. I'll just close those because I don't have time for it. I want you to think in the same way for yourselves. So take an evening stroll. That's your number one. read a book, sit outside, go for a hike, visit an art museum or gallery, have friends over for dinner. That's the favorite one that Jack and I have. Friends over for dinner. We don't have to go anywhere. There's not loud stuff. And we get to visit and learn more about dear people in our lives. Go to bed early. Go geocaching or letterboxing, which is really a fun thing. Take a class. And you could even do it online. So does that count as screen time? I don't think so. Start a creative project. And I've got several right across the hall in there, close to my art supplies and my sewing machine. Get in some playtime. Go to the park with a frisbee. Frolic and play in the grass. Dance. Make dinner for yourself or yourselves, or help your kids learn to make a cool dinner where they're proud of it and the whole family gives them kudos. Take a yoga, Pilates, or dance class. Start a hobby. Host a game night. Volunteer. Go for a bike ride. Do some journaling. Have a conversation. Write a letter. Fix something. Or do a small do-it-yourself project. You get the idea. And sometimes if you're too tired and you haven't had any exercise, you just kind of settle. I know some people now, they're tired, they sit and they either smoke or drink wine or have beverages, and then they're too tired to even talk. And that discretionary time at the end of the day, which needs to be ours, needs to be the time that we spend with the things we love most, that it just goes down the drain. And I don't want that for us. That time is rich, and we need it for ourselves to maintain ourselves as healthy, happy adults. It also is the best time for us to show what it's like to be a grown-up with a great life, so that our kids want to stay with us. They don't want to run away or rebel against us. They're going to rebel against what's happening in third world countries and do something about that, and we will help them. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in with me tonight. As always, know yourself, know what it is that's good for you, and take care of that. So treasure life and love others. I'll talk to you next Monday.